Hello, everyone. My name is Julia, and I am here with Sophie today to talk about her experience on the Latin America gap semester. Sophie, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Sophie. Good to be here. I'm from Germany. I'm 19 years old, and a few months ago, I did the gap semester in South America. Yep.
Perfect. Awesome. And I was actually one of Sophie's program leaders on the gap semester in Latin America. So I know her well, and it's great to see her face. So we're here to answer some pretty basic questions. And if anyone watching in the audience, has questions, feel free to write them in the comment section and we'll look at them. I'm going to start with one of the basic questions we like to ask all of our alums. Why a gap year? Why did you decide to take some time off before going on to university?
I always wanted to do a gap year because in Germany it's a bit more common. So many people do it, and it's more like, it was always kind of obvious to me that I would do it. But then when it came to the planning, I wanted to really get something out of this gap year. I wanted to learn something. I wanted to get to know new cultures. I wanted to travel. So yeah, and then I started planning it with a counselor actually, and she proposed TBV to me, and that sounded like the perfect mix of everything to me.
Oh, that's wonderful. So you said you went to like a counselor advisor?
Yeah, so she's a friend of my mom, so so that was yeah, and she really because she wants you to really get something out of the gap year, and she makes a questionnaire with you, and she asks you what you really would like to learn in your gap year, what countries you would like to see. I wanted to learn languages as well, so South America was good for me because I could learn Spanish there. Yeah, and then she helps you with finding organizations or finding programs and everything.
Great. I am really curious just for myself, what are you up to now? I know that you did the semester program, so you finished in December, and you've had until now and when you start university. So what are you up to?
So when I came back, I was home for a while. So just hanging out with my family, going on vacation with my family, working a little bit. And then a few weeks ago, I went for almost a month with one of my best friends on a trip through Eastern Europe. And we got a train ticket, and it's a train ticket which you can use to travel through all of Europe. It's called Interrail. And we did that and went to Prague and Budapest and Krakow and Warsaw. And that was really cool because I'd never been to any of these countries before. And we just like did sightseeing and yeah, did a lot there. And now I'm back again, and again I'm also working because in summer in June I'm going to Sweden to do a language Swedish course, which is just something I wanted to do for me. It's like some personal interest and ties to Sweden. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
That's awesome. So the language course is just something that for your personal development you wanted to do before going to university?
Exactly, because I knew that I would probably never really find the time again to do that, because it's something I always wanted to do, and because I'm there every summer in Sweden, and it's just such a big part of my life, and it's kind of frustrating to not know the language. And so I signed up for this summer program, which sounds really great. It's in a university city in Sweden, like in a old university, and yeah, 6 weeks long, I think.
That sounds amazing. Good for you. My next question relates to sort of the curriculum and the experience of thinking beyond borders, studying different elements of international development, but also reflecting on our own home communities. But with TBB, it tends to be mostly American students. So I'm curious about your experience as a German student. And I know we had another student from Germany and one from Hong Kong as well. So you don't necessarily speak for them, but your own personal experience.
Okay, so it actually was a really good experience because it's always also really interesting to know things from an American perspective, just because the US is, I don't know, it's just really powerful and plays a big part in like politics, and like also when you live in Europe. And so it was cool to see all, because we had so many discussions. It was cool to see always also the US side, or the US point of view. So I learned a lot from that as well. Also actually quite a lot about US history also a bit, and civil rights movement and so on. Which was sometimes weird was that everyone assumed that I was from the US too. So my host family would always ask, so how is it in America? So how do you do these things in America? And I always told them, I'm not from America. I don't even know. And just because we were in South America, people knew a lot more about the US than about Europe, because also like from distance wise, it's just closer. So that was sometimes, I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was sometimes a bit awkward.
Yeah. Did you find that the seminars really gave you a better global understanding and not just reflective on perhaps American culture, but more global?
No, definitely. So also because we were not only American students, we were, and also the US is just so diverse. So you always have so many different points of view, and TVB really tries to get out of this American point of view and tries to see everything from every perspective. So yes, definitely. I have one other thing I wanted to say about that. No, I forgot about it.
Welcome back.
I might remember later.
I'm curious what significant events.
I remembered.
Okay.
Sorry. It was great. One thing which was great about being an international student was that I barely spoke my own language. So that helped. I think that helped, like, immersing myself more in the culture, and like really arriving in South America and not thinking too much about home, because I never spoke German. And when I spoke German, it was super weird.
Yeah, I can't imagine that experience. Because the other students, you get to speak your own language with them, but for you, everything was new.
Yeah, exactly.
So going back to the question I was about to start with, what significant events shaped your gap year experience, if you can think of any in particular?
So definitely the seminars, which we always have, because seminars are when you really reflect upon what you experience, and where you really start to question so many things. You question your own behavior as a consumer, your own social responsibility. You just question everything at some point. So that was really meaningful for me. Then also like something more about countries we were in. So in Bolivia, we never, no, not we never, but we didn't have that much water. So Cochabamba was in a water crisis when we were there. And that's still, I still think about that a lot. And always when I use water, or often when I use water, I think about these days in Cochabamba, and I really try to reduce my water consumption. And I saw that water isn't like endless. So that was also really meaningful.
Yeah, it's interesting how TVB frames the curriculum along with what you're learning and seeing every single day on the ground too. So for you, your host family, to be like, you can't shower today, or you shouldn't wash your clothes today because of the water, and then learning about this water crisis and the drought and how it really affects families when you're living it, I think is really powerful.
Exactly. Yes, and then also because when we were there, we had the seminars about sustainability. So that kind of worked well together. So even when we were in seminars, we were still reflecting upon that. So I think, yeah.
Yeah. What was it like? I think you had mentioned something about being in this group of Americans, but at such a crucial time politically in the world, actually. And I'm wondering if that was a significant part of the experience as well.
Yes, it definitely was. So it was, yeah, it was really shocking to see for me how shocked all of you were by how the events at the election turned out. And I think it made, how do you describe it? It just showed me that we have to do something about this, about all these radical movements in the world. And I mean, they are not only in America, they are also in Europe as well right now. And so this really changed for me that I now really feel politically responsible. For example, I joined this movement, which is called Pulse of Europe. And I don't, so they speak for Europe, they are a pro-European movement. And I don't know if I would have done that without being with Americans at the time of the election.
Interesting. Do you see yourself?
Showed me how things can turn out if you don't do something.
Yeah. Do you see yourself taking that experience and all of TBB in general and doing something different than you would have on your university campus?
Wait, can you repeat the question?
Do you think that TBB has influenced the way that you look at your university and what you're going to take advantage of when you get on campus?
Yes, it did change that. I mean, campus life in Germany is a bit different, so that's so you don't really have that many groups and societies and everything you can join. But I will definitely try to like be more active, be more involved. I will always like try to ask more questions. I think it will also like change the way I will be learning things or try to learn things. So it will be more for the sake of really learning this thing and not only for passing the test or passing the exam. So yeah, was that your question?
Yes, you answered it perfectly. Thank you. So I guess along with that, are there other things that you'll take from your TBB experience or different lessons that you learned in the 3 months?
So I just spoke about that social responsibility I'm feeling now. That also, for example, influenced which job I want to take, because I kind of saw that I don't want to work in a job which doesn't really have a positive influence on the world, which is just for making money and making things in our society worse. And I want to work in a job which at least tries to make things better. So that changed something for me, even though I wanted to do something like that before, but now I know for sure. And it also changed my way of consuming. I'm trying to buy less things. I mean, I'm still going shopping and everything, but I'm trying to think about it more, and I'm much more aware about the things I am buying and if I need them, and I'm always reflecting upon it. And also the way I'm eating locally, eating organically, not eating meat. For example, not eating meat before TBB. I mean, I was vegetarian for a while, but then that changed back, and now I'm mostly vegetarian because I just feel, not only because of the animals, but I just feel it's so irresponsible when you look on climate change and all of our environment and also the water crisis.
Yeah, those are very tangible changes that you've made. I have a question that's kind of two-part. If you were to go back to the Sophie before you left on your gap year, what advice would you give to her? And then the second part is, what advice, if it's different, would you give to students not totally sure they want to take a gap year, maybe considering it?
I mean, to the Sophie, I think I'll give it to the students first, because if you're planning to take a gap year, I think, because many people think when you're taking a gap year, you're just like chilling and not really doing anything. But I think if you want to do it, you really should try to learn something new. It doesn't have to be in a school kind of way of learning. It can also be like, if you always wanted to learn how to do cooking, like really good cooking, you can do that. If you always wanted to learn, I don't know, to dance or anything, it can be anything, but just try to get something out of this experience. And also not only travel around. I mean, traveling is great, but if you just travel around and just see places, it will not be that meaningful to you. Maybe if you're traveling around, read books about the countries you're in, talk to all the people you meet in these countries, and learn something about the history of these countries.
That's great advice, and that's definitely part of TBB's mission, that you're taking this year off. You should be able to get something very tangible from it and really learn and grow and develop your personal understanding of the world and of yourself. So I think you really touched on that well.
And also, I would always include breaks, because I saw that I took some breaks always in between, always like 6 weeks or something, or even 2 months. And that really helped me, because when I came back from TBB, there was still so much to process. And also it was hard getting back to like daily life and everything. And it just takes time to settle again and give yourself that time. Don't like go away for like 5 months and then come back and be only home for a week, because you will regret that, I think.
That's good advice, and also something that you don't necessarily think about until you've experienced it yourself. So do you have advice?
Advice to the Sophie?
Yep.
So I would give myself that same advice, but luckily I made the right decisions, even unconsciously. But yeah, I would give myself the same advice.
That's great that you found it already. You talk a lot about the seminars. For a student that doesn't really understand what that is, do you want to walk them through maybe a typical seminar or one of your favorites, maybe one of the books that you really loved?
Yep. Yeah, I'll do it. It wasn't a typical seminar, but I really liked that one. So that also had to do something with water. The seminars are always really different. It depends on what your PLs plan for you. But ours did a great job, and they did a really great job when they planned our water seminar. And the subject was, should you privatize water? It's called like that, right? Privatizing water?
Yes.
Or should you make it a human right? And then the PLs put us into groups, different groups. So we had the human right group, the privatizing group, so kind of the financial, economical guys. And then we had the reporters. And then we simulated a discussion with different questions, and the reporters could always make notes and then ask afterwards. And it was just really good, and it really made you reflect upon different perspectives on that subject. And yeah, it was really great, because some people also had to take perspectives they didn't necessarily share, and that kind of forces you to also see the other point of view. And that's really good, because otherwise you afterwards you can still decide you want to take that other point of view, but you know all like the arguments for that one side and the arguments for that other side. And I think that's really something TBB does very well. It always shows you many points of view, and it's really how do you say that? I'm missing some English words. TBB is really good with that.
Yeah, so we did a debate style. So exactly what you're saying. You got a list of the key arguments, and you had to argue one way or the other for privatizing water or not privatizing and keeping it as a human right, and the issues that come with both sides. And so being able to look at those with an unbiased perspective and argue a point that, like you said, you might not necessarily agree with, but really show exactly what is at stake here and what the issue is, especially in Bolivia, where they were actually living it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an example of one seminar. Do you have a book or an article that comes to mind when you think about something that was really formative?
Paulo Freire, and The Pedagogy of the Oppressed. That was, it was a hard book, and I never read through the whole book, but that gave me so many new ideas. It was about education and how to form fair educational systems. And it really introduced educational systems on a new level to me and gave me many new ideas, and I'm still thinking about it a lot. And I think I should read it to the end at some point. I haven't done it yet because it's not that easy, but yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those books that is definitely introduced in TBB, and I know as a student looking back on my own personal student experience, it was something that I maybe got half of what I was intending to get, and I need to go back and read it again and again, maybe every year. I'm wondering if you have anything that you want to talk about in particular that didn't come out of my questions.
About TBB. I think right now not.
Okay, I have one more that just came up. How was the group and group travel? I know for some students looking at gap years, they're a little bit hesitant to join a group. I mean, even some in our own group.
So
we're like, I could do it on my own. So what was it about the group that you enjoyed?
So I can imagine that some people think that in the group they won't be able to really get to know the culture, get to know other people. But that's not the case with TBB. So if you're worried about that, because you'll live in host families, and you'll definitely get to know many, many people, and will get out of your bubble, because that's the whole purpose of TBB, and the group won't stop you from that. But then also, on the other hand, the group will give you so much support, and there will be so many new things for you, which you can't talk about with maybe your host families, because it's new to you because you're not from that country. And it reflecting upon these things with your group will help you so much, and it will help you a lot to process these things, to maybe make your own conclusions. What should I maybe change about my life? Maybe you're shocked by a situation, or don't know what to do about it, because things can be, I don't know, they can just be really different to what you're used to, and you might just think, oh, this is all really bad, I really want to do something about it, or something like that. And then you can reflect upon what can I change, what can I do, and your group can help you a lot with that.
That's really great. Yeah, and I think that's something that gets overlooked when thinking about group travel and gap years in general, is that the group is really a powerful resource, and therefore the mentorship and the support, but also the learning to push you, and they know you best.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I know that you did a very good job of pushing other students as well to think about other perspectives.
Thanks.
Yeah, if there's anything else you want to add right now, otherwise I think we'll keep it short and let them watch.
Yep, I think we talked about everything I wanted to. You did some really good questions there.
Well, to anyone watching, thank you. And we're always here to answer questions if it's offline as well. So hope you enjoyed.